So for the backpack today, I'm going to be using a 10mm hook and 2 strands of worsted weighted acrylic yarn. I don't know what these yarns are. One of them I got at the thrift store and one of them I found around my house in the basement. So this is a great project that you could use to get rid of some old yarn or maybe some extra yarn that you might not be using. But another great thing about this pattern is that it's basic enough that you can apply it to all different types of yarn weights and hook sizes. And I'll explain that more as we go, and I'll also have that up in the written pattern. So I started by creating a slip knot, and I'm going to go ahead and place it on my hook and fasten it. I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to flip the chain, insert the hook into the first chain that we created, and create a slip stitch and pull through. Without making a turning chain, I'm going to work 6 single crochets into the inside of the circle. And you can go ahead and pull that original yarn from the beginning, and that'll tighten the center of your circle. This is where the chain marker or stitch marker comes into play. I am not going to be connecting or joining the rounds. So in the last stitch that I created, I'm going to go ahead and place my stitch marker. This way I won't have to count as diligently, and if I lose my place, it's really not that big of a deal. So now after the first row, you should have 6 single crochets. So now on the second round, we're going to go ahead and work 2 single crochets into each one that we just worked. And as you can see, this yarn, 2 strands together, is kind of tricky. That's why I like to size up to the 10mm hook, because it helps keep the stitches loose if you're a tight crocheter like I am. But so basically we're working from the bottom up, so this is going to be the bottom of the backpack. We just want to get a flat circle that is 12 inches in diameter. And if you're working with a different sized yarn, you're just going to follow what I'm doing, just with your yarn and hook. And I can explain later on how you'll continue once I'm done, because this will be a very chunky project. It'll be done quicker than a worsted weighted or smaller yarn project. Okay, and so I've placed 2 single crochets in every single crochet from the previous round, and then we still need to put 2 into this one because this was the last stitch of the last round. So I'm going to go ahead and place 2 in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and replace my stitch marker, and now you should have 12 single crochets in your round. We're going to go ahead and do one more row of an increase in every stitch, so that's putting 2 single crochets in every stitch. And if you want to crochet a single crochet circle for something else, this is also exactly how you would do it. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm just showing you how I'm going to work along until we get to the sides of the backpack. So this backpack is actually a request by my best friend Jordan. She got this really cool patch from Disneyland, and it's like a Tomorrowland patch. It's like kind of vintage a little bit, and so I'm going to sew that onto this backpack when I'm all done. So I'm designing this specifically with her in mind, so I'm excited about that. It makes it special. So I'm just going to keep placing 2 single crochets, and if I'm working a little too fast and you aren't an expert on single crochets yet, I do have a single crochet tutorial on my channel, and I'll link that in the description box below. Okay. So here we are back again at this chain marker. I'm going to put 2 more in here. And we've just completed round 2. We're going to continue to work around. Now we are no longer placing 2 single crochets in every single crochet. We're going to be increasing in multiples of 6. So at this point we have 24 stitches in our round, and so divide that by 6. That's every 4th stitch we're going to increase. So I'll show you how I count. This is our first stitch. I do 1 in here, 1, 1, and then on the 4th stitch we're going to make an increase. Okay, so that's how that works. I'll show you how I count. I'm going to count out loud how I keep it straight in my head. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know that this round needs to increase by 6, so we're going from 24 to 30, and so essentially you want 5 sets of, or 6 sets of 5. So you every couple stitches you have to have an increase. Sorry if that made no sense. So I'm going to do 1 stitch in here, 1 stitch in here, 1 more in here, and then on my 4th stitch of this set I'm going to put an increase. So again, I'm going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. Next set. And I'm placing an increase here. Okay, and you know if you did the round right if you have 4 stitches at the end of this row. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that'll be my 6th set. So I'll place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to work one more increase round with you and just make sure that you understand the basics. Because I just want to do one more round just because it gets kind of tedious to watch after a while. I can film myself and speed through it, but I just want to explain this really fast. So right now we have 30 stitches in our round and we need it to grow 6 stitches to 36 stitches. So to do this, I'm going to divide 30 by 6 and get 5. So every 5th stitch I'm going to add an increase. So that'll be 6 sets of 5 stitches on the 5th having an increase. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then 6 will also be in that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then with the increase that'll be the 6th one in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the 6th one in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back into that same one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then here we are at the last set, and you can tell if you did it right if you have 5 left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The number at the end will be different. So next row I'll have done it right if I have 6 left, and then the next one 7 left. So it just depends on how many stitches are in your set. So we're gonna do and then the last 2 are in this stitch. I'm gonna remove the stitch marker. So now we have 36 stitches in this round, and we're going to grow it to 42 on the next one. I'm going to go ahead and jump off camera and finish my flat circle. Initially I thought that I'd want the backpack base to be about 12 inches, but as I was working it, it was getting really big, and I just thought it would be kind of clunky, and I would prefer like kind of a cuter backpack that was smaller. So I ended up finishing with a base that is 8 inches, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. So now we're going to start forming the sides of the backpack, but before I do that, I just wanted to say that you do this right if the increase is right, if your base looks like a hexagon, because that's where there's 6 increases in each round. So I did mine correctly, and as you move forward, we're not going to do any increases, and it'll make the backpack circular. So don't worry, it's not going to be a hexagon, but we're going to go ahead and do the sides. I also just wanted to add that I had 48 stitches total. This will vary for you whether you're using a bulkier or smaller weighted yarn. If you just follow the pattern that I did for the increases, and then also if you need to reference the written pattern, just do that until your base is about 8 to 9 inches, and that should be perfect for you. But to form the sides, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch, but to get the base to kind of have a corner where it's the bottom and then the sides, we're only going to go into the back loop only for this first round of the sides. So to do that, instead of going in like this like we normally would, where you have both sides of the stitch on your hook, we're only going into the back one. And I'll just show that to you a couple times. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this row off camera because this will be tedious to watch. I'm just, again, going into the back loop only of every single stitch and placing 1 single crochet with no increases. So I've just completed my row of back loop only single crochets with no increases, and as you can see, it's already starting to form the vertical sides of the backpack.